Hi there and welcome to the Jsmusicschool YouTube account. This is a second blog on the improvisation series. The first blog we looked at the major and minor pentatonic scales. So these are core kind of like fantastic scales to start, start using them to do basic riffs and then progress on to other things after that. So they're your first two major types of scales. The next two after that, for me, these four scales are by far the most widely used, and they're really core essential scales. Okay, so these are the major and the minor scales. Okay, pentatonic scales have got 5 notes. These have got 7 notes. Your actual minor pentatonic scale actually comes from the minor scale. The major pentatonic scale actually comes from the major scale. We can go into that later, but you want to get playing as soon as possible. So the idea is in the picture you can see the 7 shapes. Okay, so the major scale actually has 7 notes, same with the minor scale. Shape 1 starts from the first note of the scale. So say if we do G major scale and G minor today, your first shape will start from the G, and your second shape will start from the second note of the scale, third shape from the third note of the scale, and so on. So again, they, just like with the pentatonics, these all connect together. It allows you to play all, you see really amazing guitarists play up and down the neck. They're just simply crossing through these shapes. And again, pay attention to those the blue dots for the root notes. Okay, so these become really important for phrasing and help you really kind of find your way around the neck. Little kind of grid markers. Okay, so say if we did G major scale. It's going to start from our 3rd fret, okay, and these are the 3-note per string patterns. There's kind of 2 ways, well-known ways of playing the major scale. For me, the 3-note per string patterns, I just prefer them. They seem to be more symmetrical and they cover more of the neck than the other kind of shapes that you might have seen called the K system. So again, be really conscious of what fingers you're using. Some people, some of my pupils, they start off using the wrong fingers, and I immediately correct them, because it's got to be nice and organised. Yeah, if you practice it in a nice organised fashion, that way you'll reap the rewards later on. So this first shape of the G major scale, and there's 7 notes. They might look like hundreds of notes on that thing, but they're actually just repeated over and over again. I'll just show you, for example. So this one here goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G again. Then it continues G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And all the shapes do that. It's still the same 7 notes, they're just starting from a different place. So let me just go through that again. So you got this one here. You're going to go 3, 5, 7. Now I always recommend for patterns that are over 5 frets to do your 1st, your 2nd, and your 4th. It just seems a sensible hand position. Some people you get 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, but then you're neglecting that little finger, which becomes, if you want to do the really kind of complex stuff, you need to really use all your fingers. So for patterns that go across 5 frets, I generally recommend 1st, 2nd, and 4th. So this goes 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. I use my 1st finger there. 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7. So it's nice and organised. Eventually we'll do exercises and things like that to really start to use them better. So that's the first shape. So the second shape, just like with the pentatonics, the 2nd note of your first shape is your 1st note of the 2nd shape. So our 2nd note was that 5th fret there. That now becomes your 1st note of the 2nd shape. Now this one here, I use 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It means your middle finger is lined up on the first 4 strings. So I'll show you this. So 2nd shape, G major scale. See that? Nice and organised. And you see the root note here is actually there. So I recommend people go up the shapes, down the shapes, then end on that root note, because what that does is reinforce, your ears, the actual sound of the shape. Yeah. So that's the second shape of the G. major scale. Okay. Our third shape is going to start from the B. Okay, so this is our third shape. Root note here. The target note is the 10th fret of the A string. Okay, so that's a third shape. The fourth shape is going to start on the 8th fret. Okay, so this is the fourth shape. This is probably the least symmetrical shape. Okay, it covers 7 frets. Okay, so it'll probably take you a little bit longer to do this one, but again, if you put the hours in, you know, and do the proper practicing, you'll be fine. So I'm shifting my fingers around a little bit more on this one just to accommodate the shape. Okay, so the same root note is actually, I use the same one, you know, to finish it off. It gives you that sound. Okay, so now we're going to go for the 5th shape. This is a very popular shape. Just the way it's designed, it's used a lot in sort of songwriting and solos. Just the way that it kind of moves around. It's a really popular shape, this one, but they're all very useful. So, okay, so this is the 5th shape, the G major scale, starting on the 10th fret. Okay, so that's the 5th shape, and now we're going to go into the 6th shape. This becomes very important in a minute. Okay, I'll tell you why. Okay, so the 6th shape, the G major scale, starting from the 12th fret. You can actually start that down there, but we're just going to go up one shape at a time. So this is the 6th shape. Fret as the kind of a marker point for that one. If you use these marker points, it helps you really get around the neck. Nice. Just like, you know, on a football pitch, you've got the 6-yard box or whatever. So, okay, so that's the 6th shape. So now I'm going to do the 7th shape. This is going to start from the 14th fret. The idea is eventually you'll start to merge all these together, yeah, and randomize them, because at the moment they just sound like scales, but when you start to randomize it a little bit more and more you do it, you know, you'll start to enjoy them more. So again, not just for soloing, loads of millions of brilliant riffs use these scales. Okay, okay, so now that's what a lot of people seem to, you know, not get the connection between major and minor. A lot of the time you're using the same shapes, but they function differently. Okay, okay, they do contain. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do G minor. Okay, so actually going to start from the same fret, but what you're going to do is, you can see from the diagram, our 6th shape of the major scale actually becomes the 1st shape of our minor scale. Okay, so the idea is, if you listen to this now, before our 6th shape started on the 12th fret, but it didn't. Its root note was on the 15th fret. So everything was revolving around that G. So it's sounding major. So now if I take that 6th shape, start from the 3rd fret, listen to the sound it makes, okay? I'm taking that G now as the root note. G there. G. So you see now that I changed the function of the shape, it produces a different sound, okay? So again, a lot of times it depends on what chords you're doing underneath, your key chords. So if you're just doing a song in the key of G minor, it may often start with a chord G minor, G major, G major. It's not, it doesn't always, that's a simple way of looking at it, but just to get you started. So 1st shape of the G minor scale is the 6th pattern. So think of the 6th pattern, but you can see, as you can see from the photograph, the root notes change. Okay, so the idea is your yes, so your 1st shape of the minor is like that. Root notes change, so it continues. Okay, so that's your G minor scale. So the idea is your third shape of the minor actually becomes what you used to know, what you do know, is the first shape of the major. Again, we'll learn to randomize it later on, so you can really start to use it in a more musical context. At the moment, what you want to do, so we've done major scale, so we've done G major, with the root notes are all the Gs. Did all 7 shapes, and then you're going to do G minor. But using the 6th pattern of the major and creating that as your first shape of the minor. So if you do that, every key, again 12 keys, then you really start to get to grips with the patterns, especially, you know, as I was saying, in the major and minor pentatonics. A lot of people, F minor down there is the gaps between the frets is a lot wider than, say, and up there. Same with the major scales and minor scales. Cool. So practice that. These are, you know, when I went to music college, learning these shapes, your technique just skyrockets when you do all this stuff properly. Cool. Thanks very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. If any questions or comments or suggestions, feel free to write them. Okay, so yeah, you can also find me on Twitter, Jsmusicschool, Facebook, Jsmusicschool. My website's jsguitarlessons.co.uk. So yeah, just enjoy that, and then we'll go on to the next set of blogs. We'll start to real randomize it, put in all those cool techniques. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Okay, bye.